There are tennis records no player dares to chase, and this video finally explains why. Number 10. Martina Navratilova won 167 titles, and no one else even reached 110. How many times do you think a tennis legend wins a title? 10? 50? Maybe 100 if they're unstoppable? Martina Navratilova won 167 singles titles. That number is so high, it almost sounds like a typo. But it's real. It's officially the most singles titles by any player, man or woman, in tennis history. To understand how impossible this is, let's compare. Serena Williams won 73 singles titles in her entire career. Roger Federer finished with 103. Novak Djokovic, the most dominant modern player, is still not even near 100 by 2025. Martina didn't just beat those numbers, she crushed them. And she did it all while escaping communism. Martina grew up in Czechoslovakia, where athletes were controlled by the state. At age 18, during a tournament in New York, she made a bold decision. She defected. She stayed in the US, gave up her home country, and started from scratch. The world watched and some criticized, but she never looked back. From 1974 to 1994, Martina won titles almost every month. She played on every surface imaginable: grass, clay, hard courts, even indoor carpet. In 1983 alone, she won 16 tournaments and had a match record of 86 wins and just 1 loss. That's a win rate of 98.9%. Nobody has ever had a season like that, not even close. She trained like no one else. Martina was the first player to bring in a personal trainer, a nutritionist, and even a mental coach long before it became normal. Her game was fast, smart, and fearless. She charged the net, attacked volleys, and made points end quickly. And she never stopped evolving. But here's the part that feels almost unbelievable. She wasn't done at 30. In fact, she kept playing until her late 42nd. In 2004, yes, 2004, she won a Grand Slam mixed doubles title at the Australian Open. She was 47 years old. Most pros retire before 35. She was still lifting trophies a full generation later. There's another reason this record may never be touched. Today's tennis schedule is totally different. Top players now play fewer tournaments, focusing on bigger events. Navratilova played 20 to 25 tournaments a year, sometimes more. She showed up to win every single week. Some say Serena is the GOAT, others say Federer or Djokovic, but Martina has a number beside her name that none of them ever touched: 167. And next, we're about to enter a match so long, it almost broke the rules of tennis itself. Number 9, the longest match in tennis history lasted 11 hours and 5 minutes. Imagine playing tennis so long that the scoreboard stopped working, that the sun went down and came back up before the match ended, that the match was split over 3 days, and fans in the crowd had to come and go like they were watching a mini-series. That's exactly what happened at Wimbledon in 2010 when American John Isner faced Frenchman Nicolas Mahut in the first round. What began as just another match turned into something tennis had never seen before and will almost certainly never see again. Here are the exact numbers. 11 hours and 5 minutes total match time. 183 games played. 980 total points. Isner hit 113 aces. Mahut hit 103. The final score? 6-4, 3-6, 6-7, 7-6, 70-68. Yes, you read that right. The final set alone took 8 hours and 11 minutes. That's longer than most entire tournaments. They started the match on Tuesday, the 22nd of June, 2010. It was suspended due to darkness that evening. They came back on Wednesday, played the entire day again, and were still tied at 59-59 inch, the 5th set, when the match was postponed a second time. On Thursday, they finally returned, and Isner broke Mahut's serve at 68-68, the only break of serve in the entire 5th set. The crowd exploded like it was a final. Wimbledon's electronic scoreboard wasn't programmed for a 5th set to go past 47-47, so it literally broke and had to be recoded in real time. Neither man could walk straight by the end. Isner collapsed in his chair, barely able to hold his racket. Mahut needed immediate medical treatment for his shoulder and legs. But both of them were honored on center court the next day and given a commemorative plaque, a Wimbledon first. This match changed the rules of the sport. After 2010, the All England Club introduced a final set tiebreak once the score hits 12. In 2019, This evolved into a 10-point tiebreak used in the deciding set at all Grand Slams. This record is literally unbreakable because the rules won't allow it to happen again, and yet, the most fascinating part is what happened after. Isner went on to lose in the next round in under 90 minutes. He was too exhausted to stand straight. Mahut entered doubles the very same day and won. That's resilience. A match like this might sound impossible now, and that's because it is. No era, no athlete, and no rulebook will ever allow this to happen again. Next up, we go from the longest match in history to one that ended before the popcorn was even warm. Number 8. The fastest Grand Slam final lasted just 34 minutes. Most tennis finals build tension over hours, a rally of nerves, drama, and endurance. But in 1988, one match skipped all that. It ended in the time it takes to finish a sandwich. Steffi Graf versus Natasha Zvereva, the French Open women's final, held on the 4th of June, 1988, became the fastest Grand Slam final in tennis history. It lasted just 34 minutes. The score? 6-0, 6-0. Zvereva won just 13 points in the entire match. 13 out of 65. She didn't hold serve once. She didn't win a game. And the crowd at Roland Garros barely had time to find their seats before it was over. Graf, only 18 years old at the time, was already ranked number 1 in the world. Her opponent, Natasha Zvereva, was just 17, a rising star from the Soviet Union, playing her first major final. But that day, it was a mismatch so lopsided that even Graf herself later said, "It all went so fast, I couldn't believe it." And now we move from the shortest match on the biggest stage to a player who ruled that stage longer than anyone in history. Number 7. Steffi Graf was world number 1 for 377 weeks. That's over 7 years. Imagine being called the best tennis player in the world. Not for a season, not even for a few years, but week after week for more than 7 straight years. That's not a figure of speech. It's a literal track number. Steffi Graf held the number. 1 ranking for 377 weeks. That's the most by any player, male or female, in the history of tennis. The closest, Serena Williams, at 319 weeks. Novak Djokovic, as of 2025, has passed 400 total weeks but never approached Graf's 186 consecutive weeks at number 1 from 1,987 to 1,991. Graf first reached the number 1 spot on the 17th of August, 1,987, when she was just 18 years old. She didn't give it up for nearly 4 years. That stretch included the legendary 1,988 Golden Slam, where she won the Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, US Open, and Olympic gold in Seoul, all in a single calendar year. Her dominance wasn't just about titles, it was the consistency. Between 1,987 and 1,996, Graf reached 36 Grand Slam semifinals. She won 22 Grand Slam singles titles in total, placing her 3rd in history behind Margaret Court, 24, and Serena, 23. But unlike those two, Graf's reign was uninterrupted, no long breaks, no dramatic injury comebacks, no media stunts, just results. She was a master of fast play. Graf's matches were often over in under an hour. She hit one of the most feared forehands in history and combined it with a deadly slice backhand, rarely hitting over it, instead slicing deep and wide to pull opponents off balance. And she did it without coaching theatrics or post-match declarations. Graf kept her life intensely private. While other players gave interviews and endorsements, she built her aura in silence. The fewer words she spoke, the more intimidating she became. Here's a telling stat. Graf finished 8 seasons ranked number 1, more than any other female player in the Open era. Her streak came under real threat in the mid-92nd with the rise of Monica Seles, who actually took the top spot in 1991. But Seles' career was tragically interrupted when she was stabbed on court in 1993. Graf regained her place and kept winning. To this day, tennis insiders say Steffi Graf is the only player who truly dominated across all 4 Grand Slam surfaces without being figured out. And the scariest part? She retired at just 30 years old, still ranked number 3 in the world. Up next, if Graf reigned for years, the next record happened all in 1 year and no one has come close to repeating it. Number 6. Steffi Graf is the only player in history to win the Golden Slam. Winning a Grand Slam, all 4 major tennis titles in a single year, is almost impossible. Only a few have done it. but winning all 4 majors and an Olympic gold medal in the same calendar year? Only one person in history has ever done that. Steffi Graf, 1988. It's called the Golden Slam, and no one, not Federer, Nadal, Serena, Djokovic, or anyone else has ever matched it. Let's break it down. The year began in Melbourne at the 1988 Australian Open. Graf stormed through the draw, defeating Chris Evert 6-1, 7-6 in the final. That was slam number 1. Next came the French Open. This time, Graf completely obliterated Natasha Zvereva in what would become the fastest Grand Slam final in history, 6-0, 6-0 in just 34 minutes. Slam number 2. Then, on the grass at Wimbledon, she met defending champion Martina Navratilova, a player who had beaten Graf in the final the year before. After dropping the first set 5-7, Graf roared back to win 6-2, 6-1, slam number 3. In New York, she completed the conventional Grand Slam by winning the US Open, defeating Gabriela Sabatini in the final 6-3, 3-6, 6-1. 4 Grand Slam trophies all in one calendar year. That had only been done by Don Budge in 1938 and Rod Laver in 1962 and 1969. But Graf wasn't done. Just 3 weeks after the US Open, she flew to Seoul, South Korea for the 1988 Summer Olympics. Tennis had only just returned to the Olympics as a medal sport that year. It hadn't been played officially since 1924. In the final, she once again faced Sabatini. This time, she won 6-3, 6-3 calmly and efficiently. 5 of the biggest titles in the world, all in one calendar year. By a 9-year-old. Her final record in 1988? 72 wins, 3 losses. 10 titles. 3,225 ranking points. She finished the year as world number 1, 1,400 points ahead of her closest rival. Next, we shift from one perfect year to a king who ruled one clay court for nearly 2 decades. Number 5, Rafael Nadal has won the French Open 14 times. No one else has more than 6. The red clay of Roland Garros is tennis's slowest, most grueling surface where long rallies, stamina, and precision decide matches. Winning it once is a dream. Doing it twice puts you in elite company. Rafael Nadal won it 14 times, and he only played the tournament 18 times. Let that sink in. 78% of the times Nadal entered the French Open, he won it. The next closest in men's history, Bjorn Borg, with 6 titles less than half. No other man has even reached double digits at any Grand Slam. Nadal's dominance began in 2005 as a 9-year-old with long hair, capri pants, and sleeveless shirts. It was his first appearance at Roland Garros, and he won the whole thing, defeating world number 1, Roger Federer, in the semifinals and Mariano Puerta in the final. That year, he went 24-0 on clay, immediately earning the nickname the King of Clay. He defended his title in 2006, 2007, and 2008, beating Federer 3 straight years in Paris, culminating in a 6-1, 6-3, 6-0 beatdown in the 2008 final. Considered one of the most lopsided slam finals ever, Federer, who had dominated every surface, seemed helpless on clay against Nadal. Then came 2009, his only early loss before the semifinals. In a shocker, Robin Soderling beat Nadal in the 4th round, snapping a 31-match winning streak at Roland Garros. Nadal responded the next year and every year after like a machine built for clay. He won the French Open again in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014, often defeating Novak Djokovic in emotionally and physically draining finals. In total, he's defeated Djokovic 7 times at Roland Garros, more than any other player. Injuries slowed him in 2015 and 2016, but in 2017, he returned to peak form, losing only 35 games in the entire tournament, the fewest ever in a French Open title run. He didn't drop a set. He repeated that feat again in 2020 at age 34, crushing Djokovic 6-0, 6-2, 7-5, in a final that stunned even his critics. Overall, Nadal has a 112-3 win-loss record at Roland Garros. His only losses came against Soderling 2009 and Djokovic 2015, 2021. And here's something absurd. The only player with more match wins at Roland Garros than Nadal is nobody. He leads all-time win totals at a single Grand Slam by over 30 matches. The French Open court is named after Roland Garros, a French aviator, but for the last 2 decades, that court has belonged to one man. Next, we move from one man's dominion over clay to a relentless grinder who played more matches than anyone in tennis history. Number 4. Jimmy Connors played 1,557 matches. No one else comes close. Most tennis players have careers that last about a decade, maybe 15 years if they're lucky. Jimmy Connors didn't just break that rule. He tore it up and rewrote the limits of human endurance on a tennis court. Over a 24-year career, Connors played 1,557 singles matches, the most in men's tennis history. Of those, he won 1,274, making him the all-time leader in match wins as well. Even to this day, not even Federer, Djokovic, or Nadal has crossed 1,100 wins. Connors sits in a league of his own. His career began in 1970 when he was just 17 years old. He turned pro during the era of wooden rackets, no electronic line calls, and matches often played in packed, cigarette smoke-filled arenas. He ended it in 1996, still grinding through 5-set matches on hard courts as the Open era transformed around him. At his peak in 1974, Connors had one of the most dominant seasons in tennis history, winning 99 of 103 matches, claiming 15 titles, and taking 3 Grand Slams in a single year: the Australian Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. The only reason he didn't have a shot at all 4 majors was because the French Open banned him from playing a controversial decision after he joined a rival tennis tour, the World Team Tennis League. His style was pure aggression. Left-handed, short backswing, flat baseline drives. He took the ball early and hit it hard. While most players in the 70-second and 80-second mixed finesse with flair, Connors was all fire. He pumped his fists, yelled at crowds, smashed passing shots with no apology. He was a street fighter in sneakers. And he never stopped showing up. While most players now retire by their early 32nd, Connors played until he was 43 years old. At the 1,991 US Open at age 39, he made one of the most iconic runs in tennis history. Ranked number 174 in the world, he clawed his way to the semifinals. In the 4th round, he was down 2 sets and 0-3 to Aaron Krickstein, then stormed back to win in 5 sets on his birthday, in front of a roaring New York crowd. It's still considered one of the greatest matches in US Open history. Number 3. Roger Federer reached 23 straight Grand Slam semifinals. No one else made it past 10. Tennis is brutal. One bad day, one rolled ankle, one hot opponent, and your tournament ends even if you're the best player in the world. That's why most greats, even the legends, stumble at least once or twice every season. Except Roger Federer didn't. Not for 6 straight years. From Wimbledon 2004 to the Australian Open in 2010, Federer reached the semifinals or better in 23 consecutive Grand Slam tournaments. That's not just the longest streak in tennis history, it's more than double what any other player has managed. For comparison, Novak Djokovic's best streak is 14. Rafael Nadal's? 8. Federer's run meant that every time a Grand Slam happened for over half a decade, from age 22 to 28, he was in the Final Four, guaranteed. Across all 4 surfaces, through injuries, bad draws, rising stars, and swirling media pressure, he just never lost early. His consistency was almost eerie. And this wasn't some easy path. During that run, Federer faced and beat the likes of Andy Roddick, Lleyton Hewitt, Marat Safin, Novak Djokovic, and Andy Murray, all future or former world number 1 second. He reached 18 finals out of those 23 slams, winning 14 of them. The streak began at Wimbledon in 2004, where he successfully defended his title and beat Andy Roddick in the final. From there, he became a fixture of Grand Slam weekends. Fans got so used to seeing him in the final rounds that it was almost shocking when the streak ended. And that happened, finally, in Roland Garros 2010, when Robin Soderling, the same man who had handed Rafael Nadal his first ever French Open loss, stunned Federer in the quarterfinals. It wasn't just the end of a streak, it felt like the end of an era. Think about the sheer durability required. That's 92 consecutive Grand Slam match wins before the semifinals. One twisted ankle or bad day could have stopped it. It never did. Today's top players often take tournaments off. They manage their schedules carefully, especially during injury flare-ups or Olympic years. Federer, meanwhile, played nearly every slam, stayed healthy, and faced every generation of competition from the last gasps of the 92nd to the emergence of Djokovic and Murray. This wasn't just dominance. It was a masterclass in longevity, discipline, and pressure management. He didn't just play like a machine, he handled pressure like one. Up next, we go from a man who never blinked to a woman who refused to lose even when she should have the comeback queen of tennis history. Number 2, Serena Williams came back from match point more than any player in history. There's pressure in tennis, and then there's staring down match point. It's the moment your tournament flashes before your eyes. Most players fold. Even the greats blink. But not Serena Williams. Throughout her career, Serena developed a terrifying pattern. The more danger she was in, the more dangerous she became. By the time she retired in 2022, she had pulled off over 23 official comebacks from match point down, the most recorded in women's tennis history, and potentially all of professional tennis. These weren't just lucky breaks. Serena's most jaw-dropping wins came when the scoreboard said she was finished, and she refused to believe it. In the 2003 Australian Open semi-final, she was down 5-1 the final set against Kim Clijsters. Clijsters had 2 match points. Serena saved both with forehands so violent they looked like they came from another sport. She won the next 6 games to take the match 4-6, 6-3, 7-5, and then went on to beat Venus in the final. That win secured her first Serena Slam, holding all 4 major titles at once. Another famous example came at the 2012 US Open final, facing Victoria Azarenka. Serena trailed 5-3 the final set. Azarenka served for the championship. The match was all but over until Serena snapped back into gear, broke serve, and won 4 straight games to take the trophy. When asked later how she turned it around, she simply said, "I never felt like I was going to lose." And that was the terrifying part. She believed it, even at the edge. Unlike some players who crumble under the weight of the scoreboard, Serena seemed to draw fuel from it. Her serve, one of the most iconic in tennis history, often hit peak speed when she was down. Her ability to rip clean winners under pressure was unmatched. Commentators would say things like, "It's not over until Serena says it is." Across slams, WTA finals, and early round matches, Serena flipped match point deficits into wins against top-ranked opponents, not just lower-tier players. The mental toughness required to do that consistently is immeasurable. Number 1, Rod Laver won the calendar. Grand Slam twice, and he missed 20 majors in his prime. There's domination, there's greatness, and then there's Rod Laver, the only player in tennis history to win all 4 Grand Slam titles in the same calendar year, not once, but twice. And here's the kicker. He did it in 1962 and again in 1969, 7 years apart before and after being banned from Grand Slam events for 5 prime years. That's right. Rod Laver missed more than 20 majors during the peak of his career, not due to injury, not due to scandal, but because he turned professional. Back then, tennis had a divide. Amateurs played the slams, pros weren't allowed. Laver went pro in 1963, which meant from 1963 to 1967, when he was between the ages of 24 and 28, he was locked out of every major. And yet, when the Open era began in 1968, letting professionals finally compete in Grand Slam events, Laver returned and immediately won Wimbledon that year. The next year, at age 30, he made history again, sweeping the Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and US Open in a single season for the second time. No one else has done it even once in the modern era. Not Federer, not Djokovic, not Serena, not Nadal. Djokovic came close in 2021 but lost in the US Open final. Steffi Graf won the Golden Slam in 1988 all 4 majors plus Olympic gold, but even she never repeated it. Laver's 1969 run was legendary. At the French Open, he battled through 5-set matches in scorching Paris heat, one of them against Ken Rosewall, his countryman and rival. At Wimbledon, he defeated John Newcombe in a rain-soaked final. In New York, he survived back-to-back 5-setters before dismantling Tony Roche in the final to complete the slam. And he did all of this with a wooden racket, basic shoes, and no sports science team. His conditioning was self-taught. He flew coach, his warm-ups were short, and his post-match meals often came from diners. Laver won 200 titles in his career, though not all are officially recorded because many pro tournaments weren't tracked back then. Even his peers called him Rocket not for his serve, but for how fast he rose through ranks and dismantled opponents with surgical left-handed precision. To this day, Federer calls Laver the greatest of all time. Djokovic says his respect for Laver's 2 slams is what pushes him to chase his own. The tennis world unanimously protects his legacy because deep down, everyone knows This is the record that may never be broken. You've just joined the few who truly know the game. Subscribe for the untold stories and click the next video on screen to unlock the record's history almost erased.